solve the inequality and then write the solution set in interval notation, we have x squared, which is less than or equal to 25. Now in this case here, they want us to write the interval for the boundaries, and then is the inequality true or false. So let's go ahead and start here. So here is our quadratic inequality, and so the first thing we need to do is make sure that we set 0 on the right side of the inequality. So we're going to subtract 25 to both sides. So now we end up with the quadratic inequality of x squared minus 25, and that's going to be less than or equal to 0. Okay, so now we want to do is we want to be able to find the interval boundaries. So we're going to use that quadratic inequality of x squared minus 25, and that's equal to 0. Now if you notice that this is the difference of squares, meaning the difference of squares can be factored by the following. This is going to be x plus 5 times x minus 5, and that's equal to 0. What do you have to square to get x squared? X. What do you have to square to get 25? 5, and it's x plus 5 times x minus 5. Step number 3, using the 0 product rule, we have x plus 5 equals 0, or x minus 5, which is equal to 0. So therefore x is going to equal negative 5, or x is equal to positive 5. So therefore those are our interval boundaries. Let's go ahead and draw our number line. So we have 0, we have negative 5, and then 5. We know that we have negative infinity on the left side, positive infinity on the right. Draw a line up to have interval 1. Draw a line up from positive 5. This is interval 2. And then this represents interval 3. Okay. So in interval 1, we have negative infinity to negative 5. So that's going to be the first interval down here. It's going to be from negative infinity to negative 5. Okay. The second interval is going to go from negative 5 to positive 5. So therefore we have negative 5 to positive 5. Okay, and then the third interval is going to go from 5 to positive infinity. So it's going to be from 5 and then to positive infinity. Okay, so far that is our interval. So now what we need to do is find our testing points. So for interval number 1, we can choose negative 6, since that is in that interval. So negative 6, and then we're going to plug it into this quadratic inequality. So we have negative 6 squared minus 25. We want to see if that's less than or equal to 0. Well, negative 6 times negative 6 is positive 36 minus 25. Well, that gives us 11. And is 11 less than 0? Well, the answer is false. So it's false for interval number 1, which means that it's false for that one. Interval number 2, we can pick 0. So x is going to equal 0. So we have 0 squared minus 25. We want to see if that's less than or equal to 0. Well, that becomes 0, and we'll end up with negative 25. And is negative 25 less than or equal to 0? Well, the answer is true. So therefore, it's true for that one. Let's take a look at interval number 3. So we can pick 6. So x is going to equal 6. Plug in 6 squared minus 25 and determine if that's less than or equal to 0. Well, 6 times 6 is 36. And again, we're going to get 11. And we've already determined that it's false because 11 is not less than or equal to 0. So it's false there. Okay, so let's go ahead and put these answers in first. So we have the following. Okay, we have parentheses, negative infinity, comma, negative 5 for the first one. Okay, then we have parentheses, negative 5, comma, positive 5 with the parenthesis. And the last one, we have parenthesis 5, comma, positive infinity with a parenthesis. Now, we determined that it was false for this one. We know it was true for this one, and it was false for that one. So let's check our answer, and there is our result. Now it says, what is the solution to the inequality? And then, so we know it's going to be a solution set, but we need to come back in here. Now remember that because this says less than or equal to, well, that inequality now becomes a bracket because we have to include the negative 5 and we have to include the positive 5. So this is going to be our solution. Okay, so let's go ahead and put in our solution. So we have bracket negative 5, comma, positive 5 with the bracket. Let's check our answer, and there is our result.